All right, so hello and welcome back. So we are continuing the video of ranking Roman provinces from worst to best. We are at number 10 from where we last left off. And you should go watch that video up there, put a time card so that you can catch up there. Otherwise, the original video is in the description. Please go check that out because I'll continue to make this longer than it needs to be. All right, so let us continue.
Number 10, Judea and Arabia. Two provinces of contrast. Judea was poor and rebellious, while Arabia was loyal and rich. In the 1st and the 2nd century, Judea was very rebellious, but after the annihilation of the Jewish population during the three revolts, it became a peaceful region, although an uninhabitable one. Arabia, on the other hand, was Rome's eastern trade center, and always extremely loyal to the Romans, so loyal in fact that it even became a symbol of loyalty. Septimius Severus valued Arabia highly, and General Odenathus, for example, who saved the Roman East during the crisis of the 3rd century, had been a Romanized Arab. Both provinces, however, lack in Romanization. Either Greek, Aramaic or Nabatean was spoken in Judea and Arabia. The provinces get 8 points for high defensiveness, because the Arabian desert protected Judea and Arabia from the Rome's main enemy, Sassanids. Arabia gets 1 point for Emperor Philip, and Judea gets extra 3 points for Jerusalem, because after Constantine had converted to Christianity early in the 4th century, a new era of importance began for Judea. The emperor himself built a magnificent church on the site of the Holy Sepulchre, the most sacred of Christian holy places.
Okay, so let's go back. I didn't actually know Arabia was that loyal to Rome, which is actually surprising for me to learn. So one for empires, yeah, sure. Economy of 6 because of just how rich Arabia was, as he said. And Judea, again, this is the Levant region. It is always economically somewhat valuable. Might not be like the most prestigious, like pumping out massive amounts of economy or money, but it would still always be good. Recruitment of 0. Kind of surprising, but not. I mean, Judea, where Jews were, Jews serving in the Roman legionaries, probably happened just because of the empire. Not saying it didn't, but I would say it would be not as many as I don't think a whole legion of Jews happened. So I could be wrong about that. That makes sense. And then the Arabs, again, same thing. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen, so I don't know why it's a 0. Anyway, defensiveness of 8, yes, because of the Arabian desert down here past them. Now, the Sassanid Empire will definitely be coming in for this up a bit, where Turkey is, modern-day Turkey, is. So I kind of think defensiveness is a little high, considering, again, the tribes that would be past Egypt, down south of Egypt and where Ethiopia would be. They could come. There would be Berber tribes out here. The Sassanids could definitely come from Turkey and then down, which they did. So I don't know. And then inclusion of 7, as he suggested, that the Arabs were very Romanized, which is surprising to me, so I won't argue. And then the Holy Land at 3 more points adding onto there, I do agree with Emperor Constantine, right? Because when the Roman Empire converted to Christianity, the Holy Land, and then where Jesus Christ died, would be very important for them to hold on to. So, yeah, fair enough assessment on that, I would say. All right, let's go to 9.
Christian holy places. Number 9, Thrace and Macedon. This region was often sacked by Goths, Visigoths, and Huns during the late antiquity. Both Galerius and Licinius had Thracian heritage, but surprisingly there were no other Roman emperors from Thrace or Macedon. Interestingly enough, although Thracians were known to be wild warriors throughout early antiquity, their war ability seemingly disappeared under Roman rule. In terms of economy, Eastern Thrace was economically unimportant. Western Thrace, on the other hand, contained a vast amount of pasture land for livestock, orchards, and timber. Its position bordering the Black Sea and Danube also made it an important trade hub for west to east caravans and shipments, especially thanks to Via Egnatia Road, which was a major trade route between the west and the east. The region deserves 3+3 extra points for being a buffer zone, absorbing attacks that would otherwise endanger Anatolia and Achaia. The importance of Thrace also grew with the foundation of Constantinople in 330. This is what the other 3 extra points are for, making a total of 26 points and number 9 on this list.
Alright, me have a slight problem with this. So, 2 emperors, not going to argue. The economy of 7. Now, this, again, Roman Empire. So we'll just say the whole thing, all the way up to when the West ate shit and died, basically, right? Or fell. So, yeah, the economy will continue to go up, right? This is where Constantinople is, as he said, in 340 will be founded here, where it is now modern day Istanbul, okay? But the economy, I mean, yeah, it's strong. It's never not strong, and it will continue to grow. So, I'll leave it at 7, all right? Recruitment of 3. It might be a bit low because it is a bordering province. Because again, after they abandoned Dacia, this was the border between all of the barbarian tribes and Rome, okay? Recruitment did happen here quite a significant amount. And a defensiveness of 1, I don't know. No. This was held. It's not like they burned Constantinople to the ground, right? The Danube, again, raids would happen, and then, especially in this area, from barbarians. But defensiveness of 1 seems really low, especially for the Danube and the amount of legions that would actually be stationed here to defend it. And it's not like it's Anatolia, right, where the assassin is literally walked in there. So I don't know about that one. An inclusion of 7, yeah, fair enough. And again, it will continue to grow to number 10 because Eastern Roman Empire is basically all Greece. And we'll basically get a 10 there. So new capital in a buffer zone. I don't know. Yeah, the new capital I agree with, right? Constantinople. In the buffering zone, yeah, I kind of guess if you would consider it a buffer zone, but I mean, it's basically core territory. I don't know about that. So, yeah, we'll agree to disagree with that one.
Total of 26 points and number 9 on this list. Number 8, Greek region Epirus and Achaia. Greece was one of the most prestigious and sought after provinces for senators to govern. Athens was the primary center of education for the imperial elite. Greek people were also widely employed as tutors, educators, and doctors throughout the Roman Empire. Achaea's exports were wine, cheese, olives, honey, and oil. But Achaea's main economic strength lay in manufacture of luxury items like perfumes, cosmetics, pottery, paints, furniture, and sculptures. Epirus was a poorer province in comparison with Achaia. Its economy was based on copper and silver mines that were extracted from the northern mountains. The Greek region was readily sacked because Thrace and Illyria absorbed most of the attacks, so Epirus and Achaia were easy to defend. But also due to the presence of Illyria, it wasn't the number 1 place to get good recruits for the Roman army, although the citizens of the province managed to form armed militias in times of need. Even though Greek region gave us no ancient emperors whatsoever, they remained loyal to the empire throughout its history, and in total, Greek region gets 28 points in total.
Okay, so backing up, it's called Eritrea. I'm just going to refer to it as Greece for simplification terms, and everyone knows what I'm talking about here, okay? Emperors 0, yeah, sure. The economy of 8, yeah, a lot. And a lot of quarries in ancient or Greece helped the Roman Empire. There was a lot of, wines, production, manufacturing, all that stuff there. Because this province was secured relatively early on in the Roman Republic and then transitioned into the Roman Empire. By the time Caesar, actually died, this province was completely under Roman control and was very Romanized by that point too. So, yeah, on the economy side, a recruitment of 2 Roman legions come from there. Yeah, I guess so. if we're talking about barbarian recruitment, but again, just regular recruitment, I don't know about that. It seems low to me. Defensive 9 and inclusion of 9. I'd make those both 10s. And let me state the reason, okay? Um, it's separate from the Roman Empire, but absolutely vital to its existence. So defensiveness, Rome would fight for it until it died, which they did, and then the East held it all the way until 1400s when they basically had a single city left of Constantinople. That's how important it was. An inclusion of 9, I'd rate that a 10. Especially the later you go on, especially when you get into the Eastern Roman Empire here. Just fully Romanized. Like, the Greeks were Roman at that point. Like, there was no difference. Eastern Roman Empire, all the Greeks were Roman at that point, right? So, and then I guess by this point we'll just say that it's at this point before all of the empires broke and split. At a 9, I still would feel that's a little under. I think it would really be a 10 at this point. But hey, that's my opinion on that.
Its history, and in total, Greek region gets 28 points in total. Number 7, Hispania. In Hispania, the southern part, Baetica, was economically the most important. It had the most Roman colonies. The south of Iberian Peninsula was also agriculturally rich, providing the export of wine, olive oil and wool. In the north, on the other hand, you could find gold mines, the largest in the Roman Empire. Unfortunately, over time gold started to run out and northern Hispania was no longer economically viable. Hispania was a very stable region, only one legion was needed to maintain peace in the province, and it got almost no usurpers or rebellions. Although Hispania joined the Gallic Empire rebellion in the 3rd century, but for a very short period of time. Also, given the distance between Hispania and barbaric lands, it was rarely pillaged. Ironically, it was one of the first provinces that was lost to barbarians in the 5th century. Emperors from Hispania were Trajan, Hadrian and Theodosius the Great, which boosts the number of emperors score to 7 with 29 points in total.
Okay, so let's go back here. I guess we're going to be starting to disagree a lot more on these. So, emperors number 7, yeah, just agree. An economy of 5, I'd make that an economy of 7. Hispania was pretty vital to the Roman Empire. It was really a colony for a long time, and as he said, there were multiple things going on with Hispania for the economy to basically rise. And again, Gaul, if we want to call it that, the buffer state, was taking all of the blows, right? Hispania was basically free to economically flourish. So, I'll make that a 7, okay? Recruitment of 1, I'd make that a recruitment of 2. Bare minimum, just because of Balearic slingers out on the Balearic Islands. That's how good they were. Again, the tribes out here, you could Romanize, and they did, so the recruitment, I feel minimum of 2. And then defensiveness of 8 and inclusion of 8. I'll say that those are fine. Maybe inclusion's a little low, maybe a 9. Mostly because of how integral, again, look at how many emperors came out of Hispania, and look at the inclusion. You would think that if there were that many emperors coming out of there, they would be Romanized, and they were, right? Hispania was definitely. And in defensiveness 8, I will just say, yeah, they have Gaul to the north and Eritrea to the south, and then the sea, and then death to the west, right? It's literally death. I mean, nobody else was out there, right? So it's basically completely protected. So, yeah, fair enough, all right?
Number 6, Anatolia. Merged provinces of Asia, Lydia, Cilicia, Cappadocia and Pontus. Anatolia had a lot of gold and silver mines and provided the empire with a lot of coins. It also supplied some wheat, lots of livestock, wine, olive oil, timber and marble, and there were plenty of slave markets. It was one of the few provinces that kept the state budget positive. Famous also for sheep breeding, parchment production, and iron from Tarsus Mountains. Fabric from Anatolia was considered the best in the empire. The most valuable part of Anatolia was Asia Minor, the western part of Anatolia. Unfortunately, when Anatolia got hit by the Antonine Plague and then sacked by Goths, it resulted in a loss of its economical potential. In terms of defensiveness, its mountains, however, created an almost impenetrable wall between Syria and the Danubian provinces. It was pretty darn hard to attack mountainous Anatolia. Surprisingly, not many emperors came from Anatolia. Eastern Emperor Zeno was born in Cilicia, and Julian had Anatolian heritage from his mother, which results in 2 points. The region of Anatolia was never fully Romanized. On the other hand, they were the driving force of Christianity. In combination with the fact that the region wasn't rebellious, Anatolia deserves 8 points for inclusion and 30 points in total.
Okay. Emperors I'll agree with, right? Economy has a better economy than Hispania. It seems a little off to me. I think they should at least be equal. Anatolia, no joke, was very important, okay, to the Roman Empire. No doubt about that, especially economy-wise. And the recruitment of 3, which is better than Hispania's of 1. There were legions stationed out here, and the defensiveness of 9, I just don't agree with. Okay, we have the Sassanid Empire out here, okay, and then we have the Persian Empire, and then we have all those other people, okay. Now it is true what he's talking about. The mountain ranges down here in the south, where Syria is, do protect it, okay, and there are some mountain ranges up here in the east. The problem is they're not continuous in the east, and you can be hit in the interior, which is what happened to them, and that's how the Eastern Roman Empire started to lose. Anatolia was, again, this little center. It does offer some decent protection, but not as much as the south, but it can still be penetrated. And remember, a defensiveness of 9 is what he gave Sicily. And I think you will agree with me here when I say Sicily is way easier to defend than Anatolia would be. So, yeah. And an inclusion of 8, I'll just say that's probably fair, considering, Eastern Roman Empire and then Roman Empire at this point, especially on the coastline. Again, there's a lot of Greek influence, especially in this northern bit of Anatolia. Again, this is completely way before the Turks are even in the picture, okay? There's a lot of Greeks actually living out on these little islands out here because they have been for centuries. When you got Pergamon out here, that was conquered, right? So a lot of Greek influence here. So yeah, an inclusion of 8, I'll say is fair.
Number 5, Syria. Syria was like a beautiful girlfriend with a well-paid job that, however, requires high maintenance. Syria was a profitable province. A lot of trade routes went through it. It was a #1 supplier of olive oil. The province also supplied expensive purple dye and expensive timber and resins, some wool, linen, pottery, glass, fruits and grain. Militarily, Syrian archers were considered the best. The bows, constructed from a combination of wood, sinew and animal horn, were far more effective than traditional bows. The other reason for having a high recruitment score is, of course, the large number of Eastern legionnaires who were mainly recruited from Syria. When we look at the emperor's column, we have Maxentius of Syrian mother, 3 sons of Constantine, Constantine II, and Constantius II, but unfortunately also Elagabalus and Caracalla. Also, Syria gave Rome many usurpers, most notably Zenobia. Another reason why it isn't higher on the list that it was geographically difficult to defend Syria against Persians. But overall, Syria gets 31 points and number 5 on our list.
I think he made it so one of the emperors was Caligula. I could be wrong. Again, pronunciation a little different. But let's go through this a little bit. So, emperors of 6, agree with. Economy of 9, right? It is very good economy-wise. Again, as you specify with the purple dye. The purple dye, Tyre purple dyes. So, the city of Tyre, Tyre, was exclusive for purple dyes. And you had to, they come from a clam that you have to get from, the ocean. And then you only get a very tiny amount of purple dye out of it. But yeah, again, that's That's why purple was the most expensive thing you could possibly own. Weed was worth more than gold because of the effort that you literally had to go get to do like to get it right because of the oysters that it came out of. So yeah, economy of 9 is fine. And a recruitment of 8, I will agree with this. As he said, a lot of legionnaires came out of there, but also, as he alluded to, the bows. Okay, so a lot of, I think it's also in what is that movie? Wow, my brain is dying today, but you all know the movie, um, the one where the first battle scene is. I'll look it up. Hang on. Yeah, yeah, okay. So in the movie Gladiator, because my brain is working, I think you might even see some Syrian auxiliary archers, and that is very true. A lot of very good archers, so Syrian auxiliary, right? Syrian auxiliary archers, came out of Syria, and then in the later Roman Empire, they'd just be complete Roman legionaries. But yeah, their archers were very good and very praised, just as like the Cretan archers were, right? But that's why I would give it a 8 and defensiveness of 3, maybe defensiveness of 2, just because of how many skirmishes continue to go on here from the Roman Republic all the way to the Roman Empire, all the way to the late Roman Empire, when it completely gets destroyed by the Persians, or Saranids and then Persian Empire, where they just completely decimated. Because there's not really much defensiveness out here. And an inclusion of 5, relatively fair score, just because of how far it is from the from Italy and how Romanized it really wasn't. Because I mean, Alexander got out here, but again, the Assyrian provinces were not Greconized or Greekanized. Let's just put it that way, fully before the Romans even came there. So yeah, an inclusion of 5, I would say that's fair.
Number 4, Africa and Tripolitania region. Carthaginian state in Africa was a pain in the ass for ancient Romans. It took them over 100 years to conquer it, but it paid off in the long run. Today, Tunisia and Libya provided about 30% of the grain dole to the Roman Empire. In addition, Africa supplied a lot of wine, timber, marble, wool, pottery, livestock, and exotic animals. Africa was the main grain supplier of the city of Rome after the founding of Constantinople in AD 330, and its capture in the 5th century by Vandals proved to be a disaster for the Western Roman Empire. The granary of Rome therefore deserves 5 extra points. In terms of defense, it was an easy region to defend because the nomadic tribes indeed attacked African provinces from time to time, but did not dare to attack big cities directly. Counts of Africa and Tripolitania, not very obedient provinces. Similarly to Mauritania, Africa deserves 4 points for recruitment because the bulk of Roman cavalry was from Africa. Emperor Septimius Severus and Gordian dynasty are worth of 4 points and 32 points in total, which results in being a number 4 on the list.
So, as he mentioned, the Vandals will take Africa and basically strangle what's left of the Roman Empire at this point, because of the grains that were coming out of Africa. And this is true. It was a vital province. So let's run through this. Emperors of 4, yeah, agree. Economy of 8, yes, because of how important the grain was basically for it, but that's kind of a different thing. But still, the economy of Africa was very good because, again, Carthage main city was there, and Rome does have it. I mean, they burnt it to the ground and then salted the earth, but the city roughly still there. So yeah, an economy of 8, not surprising because that's where the Carthaginian Empire was based out of. Recruitment of 4 because of, again, as we mentioned already, the African cavalry that Rome will rely upon, especially the light cavalry. A lot of the heavier cavalry that Rome will rely upon will come from specifically Gaul, because of those tribes. They had the heavy cavalry and the lighter cavalry, so Numidians and all of the archer and javelin throwing cav will come from basically the whole northern bit of Africa. So fair assessment there. Defensiveness of 7. Yeah, I mean that's true, but the Vandals will come, but they already killed Hispania by that point. So yeah, sure. Defensiveness of 7, I would agree with. An inclusion of 4, well, You don't exactly earn the trust of the locals when you burn the Carthage main city to the ground and then salt the earth. But yeah, and then he mentions a buffer zone of 5 extra points for the grain that was coming out of Africa into Italy. So I already imagine Egypt will be number one if Africa got number four. But yeah, it's very important to basically Italia, so the main province of Italia. So let's keep going.
Number 3. Egypt. Egypt was a very important economic province of the Roman Empire. It provided the Roman Empire with a lot of grain and a lot of trade tax revenue. Egypt supplied the empire with about 60% of the grain dole. It was the main grain supplier of the city of Rome and then of Constantinople. Much of the trade was in Indian spices and African ivory. The province also had a few gold mines and emerald mines. Since Nubia south of Egypt caused no problems to the Romans, Egypt required no effort to be defended. But this applied only if Syria was secured. When, for example, Zenobia and the Palmyrian Empire defied Rome and attacked Egypt, the province was conquered without putting up a fight. Cons of Egypt were that Egypt did not provide any military for Rome, and also it was kind of always independentish, never fully incorporated into Roman Empire. Even with Christianity, they had their own Coptic church, and for governors, it was a difficult province to control due to constant skirmishes between Greeks and Jews. But overall, it was a very important economic province. It gets 32 points and number 3 on our list.
I might actually disagree with him here very significantly here. So the Emperor 0, cool. Economy of 10, fully agree with. This is probably if you made me pick which arm to jump off, right? And everything else was my left arm, and my right arm was literally Egypt. I'd chop off the left arm and be like, well, I still have Egypt. That's how vital to the Roman economy Egypt was. Just flat out. Not even including all of the food that specifically had to come to Rome. Again, that's why Anthony and Augustus Caesar fought, was because Anthony is like, ah, what do you mean grain shipments? And Rome, he could literally starve Rome out. That's how important Egypt was. Recruitment of 0. I guess we're not including like legionaries. Yeah, I guess there's not like many barbarians down there to recruit, but there were African cavalry. All right, so we'll leave it there. Defenses is a 9. Yeah, I kind of agree. Might even be lower slightly because the again, it's basically fully protected because everything to its left is good. Everything to its right is good unless they just die, like Syria and Judea, which will from the Persian and Sassanid empires, and then the south of it, down towards I think it's Ethiopia, but that's just in Namibia here. Relatively might be lower the defense just a little bit. An inclusion of 8. Yeah, somewhat semi-Romanized. I mean, it was an important province and it was Romanized. It just wasn't fully. And then a buffer zone of 5. Again, as you said, the grain was massively important. Now, my reason I might very much disagree here is because I'm pretty sure number 2 is going to be Illyria, which is the black province here, and then number 1 is Italia. If they're not like that, I will be very surprised. I'll be like, wait, Rome can exist without Italia number 1? Huh? But I would put Egypt at 2 and Italy at 1, and then Illyria at 3. But we'll see what he says about Illyria.
Number 2, Italia. Obviously, the province of Italia.
If there was no Italia, there was no Roman Empire. Oh, we'll let him finish before I say much more.
Was important as it held the capital of the empire. It was a heavily urbanized province, the number 1 provider of wine, and also produced some quantities of olive oil and marble. It was the biggest money-making province in the empire with the largest GDP. Recruitment of Italian citizens was, however, low between the 1st and the 5th century because Italians outsourced their military to other provinces. Italians were rarely recruited to the army after the 2nd century, the reason being that they were generally perceived as too weak for military service. In terms of defense,
It's really bad. Like, okay, you have to think, right? 476 Roman Empire falls, so 3rd century, 4th century. I mean, most of the empire's gone, so who's fighting? Italians. It's like, oh, we got to hold the. I mean, there's everything else is gone, so it's just Italy left. We'll let them finish, but
defensiveness, Italia may have been well protected by the Alps against barbarians, but the mountain range wasn't 100% impenetrable, as Italy got sacked multiple times throughout the 2nd, 3rd, and the 5th century. Why isn't Italia number 1? Well, as power shifted from city of Rome to the legions in the 2nd and the 3rd century, Italy became unimportant. It became a place with a ceremonial capital only. New capitals became places where emperors currently dwelt. Later Roman emperors didn't even bother to visit Rome. Diocletian visited it once during his 20-year reign, Constantine the Great only twice. Of course, the region gets a lot of points for the emperor column: Augustus, Claudius, Vespasian, Antoninus Pius, Marcus Aurelius, but it also had either very controversial or straight bad emperors as Commodus, Caligula, Nero, Tiberius, Vitellius, and Domitian. When we count all points, we get 35 points in total, and the rank number 2.
Okay, so let me all right, so let's go through this one thing. The Emperors of 7, I'll just agree with because I don't know, but that seems low, mostly because it's Italia. Economy of 10, yes. Recruitment of 0, no. Especially if we're talking about the Roman Empire all the way from the beginning to the end, okay? That has to be at least a 5, okay? Because if you say it from the beginning, then it is very important. Okay, then the middle it dies off, yeah, right? So up here and then it dies off, and then at the very end of the empire, it starts to dramatically shoot up because they're out of people, because there's no more provinces to recruit from. So that's a 5. Defensiveness of 5. I'll just say yeah, probably, right? The Alps are not impenetrable, but they do offer a great border because again, you don't have to defend the south of Italia, right? You just have to defend the north bit. So 5, I'll say relatively okay. An inclusion of 10, yes, because that's where everything originated from, and the ceremonial capital of 3. But Ravenna, if I'm remembering this correctly, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, right? Northern Cisalpine Gaul, which is this area up here in northern Italy, right? This big area. They moved the Roman capital there later into the empire, so it could be more centralized, right? Rome, the city, was still important, right? But the administrative capital would be moved to like Ravenna, I believe, right, to be more central up here. So yeah, I guess, and then that seems really off to me that Italy would be 2. Because it's like the last place that the Romans fought to the death to defend was Italia, right? It's not like they didn't lose Italia, right? It's not like, I mean, this area was already gone. And then they finished off Italia, so yeah. Agree to disagree.
And Domitian. When we count all points, we get 35 points in total, and the rank number 2. And number 1 goes to one and only Illyria region, aka Dalmatia and Pannonia. The region gave us an exceptional generals and emperors during the time of crisis: Decius, Claudius II, Aurelian, Probus, Diocletian, Constantine, Valentinian I, along with the best soldiers in the entire empire, like the Dalmatian cavalry, which was an elite unit in the Roman army. The best soldiers from the 2nd century on were recruited from the Danube region provinces, Pannonia and Dalmatia. Illyrian frontline soldiers defended the empire after Italians had yielded up. Illyria was also first on the line when the barbarians attacked the empire. It absorbed most of the barbaric attacks while defending the richer provinces such as Italia and Achaia. In terms of economy, except in the mountainous districts, Illyria was fairly productive when it wasn't being attacked, especially after the great forests had been cleared by Probus and Galerius. Exports included timber, oats, barley, iron and silver mining, region was also famous for breeding hunting dogs. But as I said, the main importance of the whole region was that it eventually grew into the leading recruiting grounds for the Roman armies, and what happened in Illyria influenced the empire more than any other event anywhere else. Except for being a war zone that was constantly under attack, the only other disadvantage of Illyria as the Roman province was that sometimes it produced an unnecessarily high amount of usurpers, which lowers the inclusion points to 5. Okay guys, this is...
So before we let them finish, let's just go through this, okay? The Emperors of 10. The later empire, yeah, I guess we're rating the score of how effective they were rather than how many came out of there. So yeah. An economy of 5. As he just stated, it was a damn war zone for most of it. So an economy of 5 is being generous, in my opinion, for how much it was taking the brunt of everything. A recruitment of 10. Remember, Italia has a 0. This has a 10. There's a slight disagreement with me from there, right? Because, again, in the beginning part of the Roman Empire is probably down here. Then it goes like this, and then it falls off the cliff because it gets taken over by barbarians. Yeah, a lot of Roman troops did come from there. A lot of very good troops. A lot of barbarians also came from there to help the Roman Empire. But just like Italia, you know, when it came to it, Italians did step up to defend the Roman Empire to the last man. So, yeah, we'll just... Okay, 10 recruitment. 3 defensiveness. Yeah, it literally is the border, because again, Dacia's gone. And it was the border, and continuously got attacked. An inclusion of 5. As he said, there was a lot of people raiding there. And a lot of usurpers came from there. And it is relatively close to Italia for the inclusion, and as he mentioned, Ragusa, where the Ragusa area is down here. He mentioned one of the names. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that area from the recruitment side, yeah, Illyrian axemen and stuff, right? But that's not like the most northern provinces for recruitment. But anyway, and it is a buffer zone of 3 points. So it only beat Italia by 1, but still, like, as I said, if you gave Italia a 5 recruitment, Italia would still be number 1. So that's where I would put it. I would say Italia has to be number 1. You could leave Illyria at 2, but in my opinion, the top 3 are as follows: Italia, Egypt, and then Illyrica. If we really want to be generous about it, okay, on how important it was. Because again, this Illyrian corridor, if this is cut, all of the stuff is basically has no land connection anymore. You could get a ship there, but that's it. So it is still important to the empire. So there's that.
This is the end of the video, and this is my take on the ranking of Roman provinces. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And I guess that's it. Vale.
So we'll just go to this little final score thing where we can all see it, I believe. And yeah, so other than that, hopefully you guys liked me reacting to this, breaking it down, expanding upon whatever this is, because it turned into more of an hour video. Otherwise, please leave a like and comment about the things I asked you to, or whatever you want. All right, so I'll see people for the next video. Click it up here, and I'll see people next time.